Hi guys, I want to make this very clear. I have no intention of making a very bad without video, but this happened on very early stages of explosive. Safety precaution from FDA productivity sense line. We ourselves as a streamer have to understand safety is always number one concern. And number two, I wanna make this very clear. Regarding power bank on safety, always check. Mine does come with FDA approval and non-flammable material. It marks very small. I mean, it's a very concerning audit here. I did check on couple of my power bank and it doesn't pass safety inspection. Unfortunately, those are not travel agreeable, like non approval. So FDA can accidental take away my power bank and they can like confiscate it and don't return it to you. That's the one concerning about this. It's always buy the expensive, but expensive power bank. I mean, yes, there's different colors, there's different things, and there's different design like Demon Slayer or this. Yes, but the problem comes if whether it's gonna be a safety or travel approval. And very concerning enough, power bank content is lithium ion battery, and that battery itself is flammable. And no joke, I can show you a video how they make the stress test, and it's gonna be the most intensive one I can see. They even have a separate lab in SG to like show the fundamental that you have to pass an IEC or the IES or IEC certification, and this certificate is determine whether your power bank is safety or non-safety precautious. And mine, I paid very hefty price on this one. Come with non-flammable battery, but some of those that I actually bought on the earlier stages when COVID hit the rock, it's literally like I never concerned about safety, but now I saw the whole power bank shenanigan, and damn, I was lucky I picked the right one. I am very conscious about buying something. Like for example, power bank must not exceed like 30,000 m, and must have a safety precaution icon. Like for example, non-flammable, C and EF and CC and recyclable. All this is standard, and this is travel approval. Mine is travel approval. This one is travel approval. The non-travel approval powering is similar, but this one, yeah, this is a concern. This one, my dear friend, It's not travel approval. And second of all, whatever happened in this is gonna be a problem. Like for example, bloated battery. This is gonna be a consent. And a lot of people will know that if you buy a unbranded battery and it's kind of like very shady because of the price, I mean you can save like 30 pounds or 60 pounds or at least like 40 $50 because what, you want a cheap power bank and you can customize with stickers. Bro, it's all about safety and technical assist here. I have this in 20 voltage and it's come with flight certification and it does come with non-flammable battery. And I'm concerned here because earlier on January 10, the earliest flight around 2:30, an explosive power bank was detected. And it's on the top flight of the Scoot. Like Scoot is a so-called affordable aircraft where you can travel around across the world. That's what they claim. And yeah, they do have a separate website for Scoot and Singapore Airlines because they are partnered together, but they don't really serve the same. For example, Singapore Airlines economy class, you got food and travel insurance, everything inclusive. While Scoot is more like you buy something and then the next moment you step inside the flight, you have to buy Wi-Fi, you have to buy your meal, you have to buy your own blanket, you have to buy your own coffee, you have to buy your own tea. Like, who other do that? I mean, some yes, and they also have an upgrade like to Scoot Plus or Fly Scoot Plus. That one is like a premium economy where you can pick your own food and it's all included. And technically, there's free Wi-Fi on that pass, but it's not for them. Like not everyone have the concern about this. Is really crazy. I mean, some people are like, oh yeah, I see this very nice power bank. It's pink color and I can put Demon Slayer sticker and it's like what, $10? Wow, what a catch, right? And these people are like fucking idiot. Honest opinion, mine come at least with a safety protocol, and it does very concern in many people like, oh yeah, cheap is good and things. I mean, cheap is good if it's safety, but you cannot compromise on a safety when you pack something with you, like for example flaming object, power bank, phone, whatever you got is flammable. Please do not bring on board a flight. You will immediately get blacklist or you get decommission. Let's see if I can drag this out. Not letting me to do so. Okay, that's not good. Let's see if I can display capture. No, that's my video. Oh, that's not it. Uh, 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 uh. Window capture. There we go. If you zoom into the component where it says safety and guideline, you do have to read this before flying. To those idiots that really stupid, please on Earth do not travel. Stay yourself grounded if you want. I mean, I technically have no inclusive in this, but it does says on the dangerous goods, it's an offense to travel with dangerous goods, whether it's a cabin or checked baggage. If you are carrying in any of these items, you must surrender them before you check in for your flight. Here is a list of items classified as dangerous goods by the International Air Travel Association (IATA). Or if you land in any of the international EU inclusive, you will be arrested. For example, pets are arrestable. Anything that is unreasonable is arrestable offense. I honestly can tell you that. And it's explosive, flammable gases, flammable liquid, flammable solid substance, labeled as poison or combustion or subastic, which is the which in contact with water emit flammable gas. Ooh. And all these are inclusive in here, and power bank is somewhat in the let's see which one is this. Power bank should be inclusive in the radioactive material or corrosive materials, which is very crazy. And they even make a very like sustainable savvy tech in here, like meals ready to eat, MREs, and all small lithium ion battery powered personal transportation device, mini Segway or hoverboard, solo wheels, air wheels, balance wheels, etc. are prohibited as cabin and checked baggage. Means whatever you buy, like for example, lithium ion battery inclusive, it's bendable. Like for example, you can get yourself blacklist, and this is foundable on scootsafety.com. Like they have a freaking safety article on this, and there is like the following items are not permitted on board on flight. Cabin crew baggage, you may have them checked in, no extra cost. They will not be counted as part of your baggage allowance. And all these are not allowed. As far as I know, quite a quite a quite a number of these items are not allowed. Stroller, walkers, car seat, bassinet, and wheelchair. All these are consumables clients, like those people that need in need. In regardless of this, like your own wheelchairs and everything, I mean, it's understandable that people have disability, and it's a very high concern. And travel agents, they will always like double the price if you go to the travel agency and say that, oh, you need to buy this package and you know my insurance, and that thing is overpriced. I honestly can tell you, you do have to prepare couple meat like measly $100 to cover yourself, because there's nothing I can say this is gonna be a very big issue here. And it's safety consult. And here is another thing, pets. Pets passengers are not allowed to travel with pets or any live animal on board on a flight except for service dog accompanying passengers with visual or hearing impairment. Passengers with visual hearing impairment can be accompanied up to two service dogs, and service dogs will be allowed on in the cabin. But you have to put them in a leash and like sit very close to you. Like you cannot let them roam around the cabin and interrupt the flight. If you interrupt the flight, do prepare to get kicked out, or at least be fined by the airport police department. And this is really something that you need to figure, and it's like a very big sum of figuring here. And yeah, you got a couple things here, the do's and don'ts, and inflatable plane cushion on beds for children, etc. This is gonna be a two issues here. uh You are not allowed to hug two chairs, and there is a bit where you can actually ask the in-flight personnel or whoever is the manager. You can talk to them nicely. Don't yell at them, and ask for them if they can like accommodate you to bed or something, or like for children under the age of 2 years old and below. You must at least upgrade, because this is something can be an offense or honest opinion. And let's see. There is baby on board infant. You have to read this as you travel, and this is gonna be a problem. Periods and calculated basis on the expected date of delivery. Ooh, pregnant travels. 28 weeks and earlier, no medical certification is required. However, a medical certificate must be present to your return flight as a scheduled beyond 28 weeks of your pregnancy. Please present this certificate in check-in upon request. And this is definitely an issue, like a lot of people issues. They don't read. They don't read the fine print, and this is straight up from the website itself. And I'm gonna pull up a video real quick. Let's say I wanna go to. I'm gonna pull out the video real quick, and then we're gonna watch together. But in the meantime, I'm gonna make myself AFK because I have to go and find the video. Okay, we're back and we have to make this very clear. I have no intention of hitting anyone, but it's a hate crime if we do this. If we don't follow safety, it's gonna be an issue. And this is more about power bank. Since we already go through the Scoot website, now we're gonna include a video.
Power banks. They're usually our lifesavers until this happens. Earlier this year, a fire erupted on board a Scoot flight. Seconds before the plane took off. The cause? An exploding power bank. This incident joins a long list of cases from around the world of sudden and violent fires caused by our portable battery chargers. In this episode of Talking Point, I want to find out just how dangerous our power banks are. Power banks can come in a dizzying array of options. Whether you buy it off the shelf from local retailers, at street bazaars, or online. Prices can range from as cheap as 10 Singapore dollars for a no-brand 20,000 milliamperes capacity power bank to a whopping 50 Singapore dollars for a branded one with a smaller power capacity. I want to know if there's a difference between the various types of power banks when it comes to safety. So I've grabbed some branded ones which I bought off the shelves. My producer buys some budget-friendly ones online. We're bringing them to Andreas Hauser, who has spent the past 18 years testing batteries. Hey guys, so I've gone out and bought these power banks. This one, I paid almost $50 for it.
Wow.
It says it can charge up to 2 devices, fast charging simultaneously in just 3 hours. You picked up a few too, right?
Yes, I did. I have 2 sets here.
Okay.
One is from an online marketplace, and depending on which online shop you buy it from, it can cost between $10 to $15.
Okay.
Yeah. And it says here super fast charge. It has a capacity of 20,000 milliamperes.
Wow, mine's only 10,000.
And it can charge up to 5 devices simultaneously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now these ones, you can buy them in bulk from an online website. The more you buy, the cheaper the power banks actually are.
So, the question is, how safe are they all?
Power banks now fall under the consumer safety goods requirements. So it means that when you buy at a Singapore shop or if you buy online from a Singapore vendor, then you're supposed to get a power bank that has actually undergone safety testing. If not, then the vendor gets fined. When you just buy online from overseas, you go to Taobao or something similar, you don't have this kind of protection because it's outside of the Singapore government purview. That means you can import them. They're not forbidden to be imported, but you may get something that is not safety tested and that may be quite dangerous.
So actually, what sort of safety certification do power banks sold in Singapore need to undergo?
Yes, and for Singapore, we have to pass the specific battery safety standard. It's called IEC 62133-2. That's the one that applies for lithium-ion batteries in portable devices.
But how do I know whether it's been tested or not?
Yes, so what I've seen before in Singapore shops is that the vendors themselves, they actually put a sticker on it and say this was tested according to the 62133-2.
Okay. I don't see it on this.
Yes, so the manufacturer may not necessarily include it. It's not required that there is some kind of sticker on the device.
Okay. And all these tests that need to be done for these batteries, can you do them here?
Yeah, we can.
Andreas is going to show us how power banks are stress tested to ensure their safety. Now, these tests usually take 2 weeks. But for the purpose of our program, Andreas will compress the duration to just 1 full day. He'll take the power banks through a case stress test, vibration test, drop tests, and short circuit and overcharge tests. After the tests are done, Andreas will tell me what he found out. And some of the facts are worrying.
It's not a fail, but it's definitely a cause of concern, I would say.
Andreas, so I'm back.
Yes.
We've done with the testing, right?
Right.
Let's talk about the results.
So, case stress. What we did here was we put the batteries in the oven, and this test is 70 degrees.
Right.
And the idea is to see if the case opens up and deforms, exposing the internal components. But in this case, all three are fine.
Are they still working? Oh, yes. Yes, and yes,
Yeah.
they're all still working.
Correct, they're all still working, yeah.
So the heat actually had no real effect on them.
Yeah, not to the extent that you notice.
Alright, next one, the short circuit test.
Short circuit test. For all three, the protection electronics was good enough that it survived.
Oh, it's still working, yeah.
Still working, yeah. It didn't burn, it didn't smoke, it didn't explode.
And overcharging.
Overcharging means we apply more voltage than they're rated for. Like this one is rated maximum 12 volt, so we put 14 volt on this one. And this one is only 5 volt, so we put 6 volt on it. These two are dead, like they don't turn on anymore. They passed from a safety perspective, because safety perspective is no fire, no explosion.
Because very often overcharging is one of the main reasons fires take place, right?
Yes, correct.
And the same for this as well?
This one is a bit special because it bloated.
Oh, okay. I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, so you see it basically only when you look at it like this.
Yeah.
You can see it open up a gap here.
That's right.
So inside this battery started to swell.
Okay.
And this creates so much force that it bends this aluminium case.
Wow. Which
Yes.
means there's actually quite a lot of swelling in here.
Yes, this is actually a dangerous case because when you look, it turns on.
Oh, it's still working.
It's working. Means the normal user maybe thinks it's fine to use, but it's not. Because the bloating, eventually it will pop.
Oh, a few more times when I charge it,
Correct,
one day
correct.
it's going to go boom.
Yes, and then you have a fire. It's not a fail, but it's definitely a cause of concern, I would say.
Okay, so that one actually is dangerous. Even the one that got bloated passed the overcharging test because it didn't catch fire. But it's definitely unsafe to use. Alright, vibration. What is this?
We had it on the vibration table and it's moving up and down with relatively high frequencies. We didn't see any direct change on the samples, but we opened them up so we can see the difference. So this is the cheaply made one. And when we open this up, all that's holding them in place is a small strip of glue. Certainly in Singapore, humidity and temperature, we will probably have the glue fail sooner or later. And then, as you can see, it moves around a lot.
And why is that a bad thing?
These cells are the heaviest part of the power bank.
Yeah.
It means that when you walk, when you're on the bus, when you're in a car, and all the time inside this is rattling around. And all this moving causes stress on the cable.
Okay.
And because they're also very flimsy. Eventually this may rip off. Then it's dangling loose. If you're unlucky, then this cable makes contact with another point, and then you get a short circuit. And then the short circuit leads to overheating, to fire. We only did it for a shorter period of time.
Okay.
If we do the full 12 hours, it probably fails as well. This one here, there's no cable actually. They use a metal strip and it's welded on. So this one doesn't come off so easily.
Okay.
Yeah. When you close the case, it doesn't really have a lot of room to move. That's the difference you can see in the quality.
All three power banks passed the truncated vibration test. But one of them, this unbranded one, would have likely failed if it was subjected to the full duration of the stress test.
And then last but not least, we had the drop test.
Oh.
We dropped the samples down from a meter height onto a steel floor, and then we have a look at, does the case crack? Does it shatter completely and pieces fly around? And all three didn't break open. But for this one, actually it popped open a little bit. It's not flush anymore. And you can see the electronics here already.
Why is this so dangerous?
This is not supposed to be touched. And if you then put it in your pocket again, there's some key inside or something, then you short it out. The result for the drop test, we don't need to necessarily have a fire. If you're already exposing the internals, and it means we already have a problem here.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that failed the drop test was the unbranded power bank, with certification status unknown. The stress tests do seem to show that price is a reflection of quality and thus safety of a power bank. At the very least, I should look for one that is clearly labeled certified. But how exactly does an explosion happen?
This thing called thermal runaway can happen, whereby the cell gets incredibly hot and hotter by the seconds.
For the past decade, Derek Farm has been leading the charge to manufacture safer lithium-ion batteries. He's going to show me how a power bank explodes. The lithium-ion batteries in power banks have four main components. An anode made from copper and coated in graphite. A cathode made from aluminium and covered with lithium iron phosphate. A separator and an electrolyte. At temperatures above 80 degrees Celsius, the electrolyte in these batteries begin to decompose at increasingly faster speeds, as the temperature inside the power bank rises exponentially out of control, causing a reaction called thermal runaway. That's when an explosion happens. How does this thermal runaway situation occur in the first place?
One short circuit inside the cell. So when that happens, the electrons don't flow out of the battery anymore. They flow directly from the anode to the cathode. And that will cause a very quick increase in the charge and also the temperature of the cell. And the cell will start burning. Two, the electrolyte component inside the battery decomposes when it's charged beyond a certain limit that it's not supposed to be charged to.
Oh,
Yeah.
so overcharging.
Exactly, yeah. So if the batteries are meant to be charged to 3.8 volts, and if you overcharge it to 5 volts, for example, things will start to happen to the electrolyte.
Okay, so I guess we'll never really know until something happens, right?
Yep, the best way to show you what happens when something does happen to the power bank, it's over here.
To show me what happens during thermal runaway, Derek sets up a couple of experiments. First, a nail drop test to simulate a short circuit inside the battery cell. This can happen when batteries are poorly designed or manufactured. Batteries that might end up in your hands if you buy an uncertified power bank. So for this experiment, we're using an unbranded power bank where the certification status is unknown.
You're good to go. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Nervous and excited. Okay. Nails going down. Why am I scared? I'm outside. I'm about to drive this nail through the power bank below, so that I can see what happens during thermal runaway, when the temperature in a lithium-ion battery rises out of control until it explodes. And start. Nails going down. Why am I scared? I'm outside. Whoa! Wow! That was like 1 second, and the whole thing is in flames. And it's still burning.
It's still burning here. Putting out a lithium-ion battery fire is really challenging because lithium is very reactive. It reacts with any and everything. So to stop a battery fire from propagating, you have fire bags, for example, that you can stuff it into.
Okay, so kind of cut off the oxygen to the device. Without any fire bags, we're going to just let the fire burn itself out.
And even after it stopped burning, the temperature of the battery still remains very
it's
high.
just stopped burning, so don't see any flames, but it's still 200 degrees.
Yep.
Our next experiment, overcharging a power bank. Again, we're using an unbranded one with unknown certification status.
This power bank is able to take up to 3.2 volts normally. So we're going to fill up fast actually. You can see here, it's about 4.9 volts already. Think of it as a balloon. So the current is the amount of water you pump into the balloon. When does a balloon burst? We're not sure.
So at any time it could give way.
Yep.
So when we're using a power bank, we never know when something like that might happen.
Which is quite dangerous if left unattended and it's overcharging. You can see the temperature is no longer at room temperature of 24 degrees.
Right.
So there's evidence of things that are happening inside the cell that it shouldn't happen.
Okay, so we've been going for about 11 minutes. Wow, temperature's actually rising quite quickly now. This guy is really hot stuff now.
I'm guessing the battery inside is a bit bloated now. There we go, see smoke coming out.
We see smoke now. Oh! Wow! Just like that, snap. Let's take a look, see the damage done. Oh, wow. That is all black right here. This is where the charge was going in, right?
Yep, that's right.
So this burned first.
Yep.
This is scary stuff. And we were doing in a confined space that is specially created for this. But if this were to happen on a plane...
Yeah, it could be quite dangerous if it happens on a plane. Especially if it's near other flammable things. It could lead to a series of fires.
Remember this incident on a Scoot flight earlier this year? Prior to filming this episode, I ran a poll asking you if you're familiar with the rules on power bank use on flights. I want to know if you got our poll questions right. Hey, hi Vincent. And I've got an expert to help me. I wanted to check with the general public when it comes to power banks on planes, whether they actually know the rules. First one, I'm allowed to use my portable charger while the plane is taxiing before takeoff and after landing. Is that true or false? A third of respondents said yes, they can.
The answer is false. Passengers are only allowed to use the power banks during the cruising phase of a flight. When the aircraft is at the cruising altitude, the cabin crew is able to move around in the cabin. And in the event of an incident involving a power bank, the cabin crew can attend to the incidents very quickly.
There are no restrictions on the type of portable chargers I can hand carry on board a flight. 82% of respondents said it was false.
Most people are right. There is a restriction to the energy capacity of power banks that are carried by passengers. Passengers should not carry power banks that are exceeding 27,000 milliamperes. When the capacity of the power banks get bigger, the risk and the effects of power banks catching fire will be a lot greater. Passengers should also protect the power banks from damage or short circuit by placing them individually in a plastic bag or in a protective pouch that is made of non-conductive material.
Is that a restriction? I never knew that was a rule too.
That is a requirement when passengers bring power banks, and other restrictions include not having metal objects placed together with the power bank. So things like coins, safety pins, metal buttons to avoid short circuit of the power bank. And power banks that are damaged, cracked casing, showing signs of bulging that may be deformed, those should not be carried on board an aircraft.
I must check in my portable charger. Once again, a third of respondents said yes.
Most people will know that they cannot check in their portable chargers. Power banks contain lithium batteries, and lithium batteries are inherently flammable in nature, especially when the power banks are damaged or when they are not manufactured according to safety standards. They should be hand carried into the cabin of the aircraft so that in the event of an incident involving power banks, the cabin crew can attend to that immediately.
Okay, one more. It's okay to charge my portable charger by plugging it into the in-flight entertainment system. Respondents were quite split on this, with 59% saying no, you can't.
It depends. Passengers can charge their power banks using the in-seat power supply only when the aircraft is cruising. So they cannot do this when the aircraft is at the critical phases of flight.
Have we encountered incidences before?
Yes, we have encountered. In the last 8 years, there have been 9 incidents involving lithium batteries that are carried on board the aircraft operated by our Singapore operators. Out of these 9 incidents, 5 were involving power banks.
If lithium-ion batteries are inherently dangerous goods, like Vincent said, I want to know if anything's being done to make them safer for all of us in the future. I've decided to pay Derek Farm another visit because I hear he may have a solution with this. So how are you guys using a plastic water bottle like this to make lithium-ion batteries safer?
What we are doing is we take the plastic bottle and turn it into something more valuable than the actual plastic bottle. In this case, a solid polymer electrolyte for lithium-ion batteries.
So that's actually a good thing because we're putting this to
Good use.
better use
Yes.
than what it used to be.
Yep.
How does it work in keeping the battery safe?
Electrolytes are typically in a liquid form when you see lithium-ion batteries in the market today. Liquid electrolytes, they contain carbonates, and carbonates are very flammable. In our electrolyte, these guys, they don't contain any carbonates. It doesn't burn so easily.
So the whole idea is to replace the liquid electrolyte with these polymer electrolytes.
Yeah.
Here's the process. Cut up the plastic, mix the pieces with a reagent that breaks them down into even smaller fragments. And after a few hours, we arrive at this. Then we'll purify and filter the mixture to get to the powder, which we'll stitch together chemically to get this, a polymer electrolyte. And will this be cheaper than the liquid electrolyte?
So typically, liquid electrolytes are pretty expensive materials. Your plastic bottles cost very little. These could cost a lot less.
So it'll be cheaper and safer. And how long will it take to get there?
Well, not anytime soon because there's a whole lot of processes of optimization of the making of these electrolytes to integrating them in batteries that needs to be done before we commercialize products like that. Yeah.
5 years?
I can't say for sure, but yeah, it could take a while.
Until the time when safer lithium-ion batteries hit the market, our power banks will remain inherently dangerous. So the next time you're out shopping for one, consider one with the necessary protection against overcharging and therefore overheating. You can look for labels like this, and if you can't find it on the box, you can always drop the manufacturer an email. And if you're traveling and you want to carry it around, why not pop it into one of these protective pouches? This keeps it safe from knocking around and coming into contact with any other metallic objects, like my keys.
So in top of the consent is always check with the seller and make sure it's unflammable. Battery is like have a check mark of X with the flame and make sure it's safety. And second, always check with the FDA or travel agency what kind of thing that you can bring and don't bring. For example, one of these example, I'm gonna bring out my trusty travel adapter and compare to Xiaomi non-safety version of this, you can get yourself into a whole lot of trouble. I honestly can tell you, those Xiaomi portable, like very small USB version of the power brick, this is a problem. Like there is no safety mark, no nothing, and it's flammable. As experienced in the video, you do have a certification. For example, you go through certificate, and they do have one over here listed here. If I can show it, it's gray. And it says 170969-11. So it's a safety precaution block. And this does come with shortage, like a lot of safety involved in building this. And this is definitely something that I would advise people to carry. And for example, if you're really stuck with a Xiaomi battery or Xiaomi charging case or Xiaomi PowerPoint where you have no choice, do be advised. Do be in advice. Do not open power. Like really, unless you are very concerned and you don't mind getting yourself into a whole lot of issue. Please be on by me. I have no stopping intention here to tell you you wanna be a stupid immigrant and to be an idiot. Go ahead. That's your fast forward to house destruction and property of damages, and it will cost millions to repair and replacement. But if you want to be a safety cocoon or safety person, please do check with power plug and always check in store if the same model have their own safety mark as great as is integrated here, and it's definitely not something that is paintable or like fatally discussion, because some of these they do fraud, like really they fraud from the copy, like they take from the something similar to what I have, and then they take a photo and print it on, and it's definitely something concerned because it's very dangerous. And fraudulent, if you're caught red-handed, you can be handed over to the police, or by law and standard protocol, you're not allowed to bring anywhere or you're not allowed to travel with. And if you do have to end up like go on a travel, please check with the travel adapter that you have international and its safety plug. Always bring a safety precaution plug head, and always power bank. Have to check with the airline provider, or you can check with the seller, and then always make sure it's not damages and it doesn't have any critical issues. And if any of these critical issues, do not bring on it, or you can be in trouble. And we do have a saying that if you really put our safety in mind, you do have to know that plenty of plenty of us will be idiot. Honest. I'm very honest here. You can be a very idiot person if you're thinking, oh shit, next month the airport is gonna be open and everyone just rush online and buy their safety shit, and none of us going to like concern whether it's gonna be safety or non-safety. And consumers are really stupid sometimes. I have run into incidents where I literally can cause a fire in my own experience. And yes, I do used to have the 4 USB pin power bank, and it's very dangerous. That's why I am not allowed to bring anywhere, not even travel with it. Like literally that thing can be combusted and it's really flammable. And no joke, that thing is 50,000 milliamp, and it's really dangerous. And it's supposed to say, very sadly to say, it I have to get rid of it because it opened like a tiny gap, and that thing can tell you that the battery, like lithium ion battery, happens to be combustion, and that thing is like maybe bloated, and if you try to force close it, it's very solid hard, means it's something is gonna be way worse. And if you overcharge it, it's gonna be way bigger issue. And it's very dangerous to bring abroad. And it's really I have to say you have to follow safety standard. And it's all in this website. It says IATA, International Air Transport Agency. They will stop you in all means if you bring anything that is explosive, or magazine or knife or anything that is inclusive in the dangerous goods, and or anything that is really dangerous. We are not allowed to bring. Even pet snake is not allowed because it's so-called taking your own risk, and anything happen, snake can be poisonous, spiders can be poisonous, anything that reach to children or underage infant will be a very major issues. And who's gonna pay the blame on you? Yourself, because you, my dear friend, you did a very stupid move, and that's really something everyone need to think about. Because every time when you fly, for example, Singapore Airlines, Scoot, Thai Airways, any international flights, even Emirates, they have their own safety precaution. I honestly can tell you, do not overstep, because a, it can keep you safety, and number two, you can use this as a rules and regulation, and number three, whatever you say is recorded per boarding, because every flight they do have a recording on what you do and what you don't do, and they do have a in-flight safety video where you have to follow. All these are based on your safety knowledges, and always have to be mindful on what you're doing. And if you're traveling with a laptop, if it's a removable battery laptop like from Lenovo ThinkPad or any of the series from the ThinkPad, the earliest one or the very recent 2019 series, do acknowledge they do have a battery removable process, and you can seal the battery in the back. If that one is non-battery removable, I'm sorry to say it's very dangerous, but you have to make a travel down to service center and ask them to replace a new battery, and then make sure it's a-okay. And standard procedure must be very fine line, make sure everything is okay, make sure everything is uh, laptop approval, and make sure tip top battery performance, because you're not just sitting on an aeroplane, you're sitting on a ticking time bomb. And it's very dangerous that any of these can go flame. You are in whole lot of hell and shit. I can tell you that, and on in a very opinion way, and this is a very safety precaution. You do have to take note if you're bringing your laptop to overseas for work or any of the process work in division. You do have to bring down your laptop to a service center to look, check, and everything. Make sure in advance. By all means, before 72 hours, like 3 days, I given people like 3 days to check. Yo, first day, bring down the laptop to service center. Check with them and make sure they have a spare battery that you can like you have to buy from them, and it's like $180, somewhere around the aroma. But in definition, you do have to follow protocol, and this is definitely something everyone have to do. And even for MacBook user, don't don't say everything is tip top, but Apple themselves, they are not something I would recommend to bring on, but they do have some safety regarding into their phones and things. Those are okay. iPad is okay. Samsung tablets or this, no. And if you're going to travel, please do note no iPad or anything is allowed. But my sister is very damn smart. I can honestly tell you, she bought her $2,000 Apple MacBook laptop. She refused to bring it on the airplane. She refused to bring it overseas. Even if you have to die watching email or something from your boss, you have to use your phone. I honestly can say it's a risky situation where you bring a laptop and that thing is operating in flight. It will cause a transmission loss, and it's gonna be a very big issue. So you have to keep in mind that there is a safety precaution for everything, and there is reason why I do not allow people to bring their laptop. And I always check before leaving, even if it's like international water. Do not put this or anything that is safety risk inside a baggage. The moment I catch anyone using this in a very disadvantaged way, I'm sorry, I gotta hand you over to IATA because something gonna go wrong. It's gonna go cost us our life and it's dangerous. I gonna pass you over to the right authority to deal with because you're the one that causing the issue. Bear in mind, whatever you do, it's gonna affect you very long term and it's gonna be a very big issues. So always check. I always check my one and I always check my okay, is this gonna be bring out or is this gonna be anything? And always double check. Like before anything, always check whether you have a correct technology like safety bag, safety this, safety that. Everything have to be safety, and you have to understand people nowadays cannot be cheap and safety cannot be bought because if anything goes wrong and anything of this linked to you, keep in mind there's no way the court gonna give you any in very linear charges. You'll be charged as a terrorist. At worst, you can charge with dangerous goods and you're banned from flying. And I honestly can tell you it's very dangerous and it's gonna cost us a lot of money, and we do have to like we love to cut costs. That's the dangerous part of us, and as human we cannot buy safety by buying like $10 worth of power bank and it's gonna be uncertified and its issues with the ITA is gonna be an issues. And I do follow international rules and regulation. That's why I do not allow people like to do so. If you're traveling and you let me know by 42 hours, I'm going to list down everything of this and double check. And if this is not like safety inspection and fail to safety inspection, I honestly can tell you, you're gonna hand yourself into a very big problem with ITA. Knocking up your door and they will tell you, nope, please put yourself in handcuff. I honestly seen people got dragged out of aircraft before. So please by all means, follow their rules and regulation. Do not do stupid shit, and always check safety. That's how I go, and I do check for rules and safety precaution about flying with power bank. And no, I do not allow people to buy cheap power bank because it's part of safety, and if you overcharge it, it's gonna cause us a lot of issues. And that's about it. I really don't like talking about safety, but people are stupid, and I honestly have no idea who's gonna be the next stupid idiot gonna do something naive and gonna cause us a lot of issue. And we really hate people that are doing stupid shit. I honestly can tell you, yeah, you got the money to fly out to become a monkey outside of Korea or whatsoever. But don't blame us if we found something dangerous and I don't see you suitable for flying. I honestly can put you down, and I can tell the ITA to knock you down because it's really dangerous, and it's really mind blowing how one thing can cause a bomb and is explosive. And if you go and contact the NYPD, they will tell you the same thing. It's gonna be your risking your safety issues, and always check with the seller. Always make sure everything is tip top shape. Laptop, I already given advice. Always check. Always check if there is an issue or whatsoever. The laptop always give you an error messages or whatsoever. Please keep in mind, service center is always open from a certain timing, and you have to go to a certified Lenovo or Aftershock PC. If you're gaming PC, you have to go back to the same seller to get a battery that fits. You do not want to cut costs. You don't want to do stupid stunt. And top of that, you probably be charged with the damages, anything that can happen. So I'm gonna cut costs here. I'm gonna go off the stream, and I do hope you guys keep in mind safety is always in prioritize, and we do have to put safety in everywhere. Even at home, I do check like what need to do, what need to be disposed, and what like I don't need in my life. I don't want to get in trouble. So I do monthly checking. That's how safety rules and regulation works. And I always check on what are you supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. If you're flying, always check with the airline. If you're wondering what is the safety guideline, they do have a portal for it. Like Scoot, I got this, and all this is linked to IATA. So, do not, point of view, do not do stupid shit. And the moment I caught you red-handed with anything stupid or flammable, I'm sorry, I gotta hand you over to the right department or justice department to shut you down. That's all I can say. And have a good day. And I hope you guys put your safety in mind and enjoy your travel. And adios, senors and senorita. I'm out of here.